FutureBuilder is a built-in widget that takes a future and then will build a certain widget tree once that future resolved. So once that future is done. And it gives you this extra snapshot here besides the context in this function, which it will execute for you, which simply gives you information about the current state of the future. So here, for example, we can then take a look at this snapshot, and if its connection state is equal to connection state.waiting, I want to show a loading spinner in the middle of the screen. Otherwise, I want to show my places list. So like this. So if we are still waiting, I want to use the center widget instead, which can be const, and center a circular progress indicator in the middle of the screen. That's what I want to do if we're still waiting for the data to be loaded from the database. Otherwise, once it was loaded, no matter if it's empty or not, I want to show the places list. Now the future I want to use here is of course the future that is yielded by load places. Since we use async here, this will always return a future, so we can update this return type to make this a bit clearer. And it's this future I want to wait for because it's in here where I'm loading my places. So to set this future here in places Dart, we should actually convert this to a stateful widget, or to a consumer stateful widget here to be precise, because we need such a stateful widget to be able to call initState in the state class. And speaking of that, we should of course add the underscore places screen state class, which extends the consumer state, which is connected to places screen like this. And here we should close this class and add create state, where we return such a consumer state related to places screen, and where we return a new instance of places screen state. Now build no longer gets this ref. Instead, ref is now a generally available property here. And now with that here, we can add init state and set up our future. The future that will be connected to this FutureBuilder. So for that here, I'll add the places future property, which will be of type future that will actually not yield any value once it's done. And I'll decorate this or annotate this with the late keyword, which is a special Dart keyword that in the end tells Dart that this is not set initially when this class is instantiated, but it will be set before it's really needed, because we will indeed set it here in init state. Here I'll set underscore places future equal to, using the ref keyword and reading from the user places provider, and there from the notifier, the result of calling load places. This will then behind the scenes load the places from the database, because that's this method, and update the state of the provider, which is important for the build method thereafter, because here I'm watching those places. But I will load the places from inside init state and store the future that's returned by load places in places future. And this now therefore does not just kick off that loading process, but it also allows me to use places future in my FutureBuilder, so that this FutureBuilder makes sure that we either see that loading spinner or the places list. And with all that done, if you save everything and reload the app, you should see no places yet, but you also shouldn't see any errors here, and also not in the debug console if you take a look at that. And if I now do add a new place here, like my office, where I take a picture, get the current location, and then choose add place, this works. Still no errors here. And I'll also add a second place just to be sure that it really works. And pick this one on the map. Save this. Now the data is there. I can of course also view these places. So that also works. But now if I reload the app or even restart it to be super safe, this also restarts and my places are still there and I can still view them. So this still works, and with that, we're now storing the data on the device. And of course, this also all works on the iPhone. There we can also add new places by taking images and then getting the current location, or also by creating a new place and there selecting a place on the map. And there on the iPhone, you can also see that you cannot just visit those places, but that if you close the app and you restart it in the end, which I did here, the places are still there.